And while I was preparing this talk, I met this guy, really interesting guy. His name is James, and he's a retired fireman. I met him the other day in the hotel, thank you, and white hair, squinted eyes, really serious, but I like engaging with these people. And I started speaking with him, and we started sharing what life was about, and he was sharing his life of service. He was a fireman all his life, and he was now retired, and he shared his experience serving others and serving fellow firemen, because he was the commander at his post in Glasgow, over there in Scotland. And the conversation got really interesting after him sharing that he just won a world tournament for firemen. They have this firemen that retire, they do these world tournaments of sports. And he was in the golf tournament, and he actually just won the golf tournament. He was sharing, competition and what people are there for and what he's doing during his retirement. But then we got deeper into the conversation. We started speaking about the purpose of life. And he was sharing something very, very personal. He said, Joe, I'm retired. I don't have kids. And I don't know if this really makes sense. Like, what is the purpose of life if I'm not going to leave something for somebody after this? And we kept speaking about the tournament, etc., and he had won, and where he was going to travel next. I think it was to Denmark. And then he said something beautiful. He said, better than participating in these tournaments and even winning them is getting my hair cut. I'm like, getting your hair cut? What's so interesting about that? Says, I go to a friend of mine that cuts my hair, and the first time I went, he didn't let me pay. So what I did is the money I was going to pay for my haircut, I distributed it among his children, his 9 kids. And they loved it. So the next time I went to get a haircut, I took some candies. And the next time, I bought some chocolate Easter eggs. And oh man, when Friday came along and my haircut was on Tuesday, I was just looking forward to Tuesday to be able to be with these kids and take them out, and we would have so much fun. His eyes became wider and they shined much brighter. He told me one thing, which I loved. He said, Joe, when I go with those kids, I feel the warm glow. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know what you feel. The warm glow. I used to feel the warm glow when I went to university, when I went to the bar. I really didn't like going to class. I wanted to be a businessman. I studied business administration, but going to class was not that fun, and it wasn't bringing me closer to my goal. So I preferred going to the bar. I actually started working as a public relations, so my job was actually to take my friends from class and take them to the bar, which I was actually very successful at. And it was very purposeful, right? Because my purpose was to have fun, enjoy life, and that it was all about that. Until one day that I had a car accident because I fell asleep at the wheel from partying so much. And actually that gave me a twist to stop that crazy rhythm. And that purpose wasn't serving me anymore. And I did have that warm glow all those nights, right? Then I was lucky enough to find a job in Germany, and I worked for a big corporation. And then I went there with all the passion, and that was my purpose. I'm gonna climb the corporate ladder. I'm gonna be an international director, which I did become also. I lived 8 years in Germany, and that was my purpose, reaching there. But as I'm climbing this ladder, everything becomes very political and politicized, and everybody's like pushing and shoving, and I'm like, that's not for me. I come from a family where we've always worked for the well-being of the family and not for my own well-being, so that's not going to serve me anymore. So there goes that purpose. And I decided one thing, which was pretty cool and actually worked out. I wanted to live in a warm place next to the ocean and build my own company. Sounds like a good plan? Well, you guys did already the first two, right? You came to a warm place next to the ocean. Many of you that are foreigners. And I came to Cascais, actually very close. I used to do windsurf, so I appeared in Cascais. I started what became my first company, and I had the purpose of building a company and having a bunch of companies. I'm gonna have an empire of companies, make a lot of money, a lot of projects, be a successful entrepreneur, which actually happened. So the first company that I created became very successful in less than 3 years. In 3 years, I already had bought 2 apartments, 2 cars, more than I need, everything successful, and guess what happens? I dive deep in a big depression because there was no more purpose. I already reached my goal. So you reach your goal and you're saying, where's the floor? What do I do now? Right? And then an angel appeared in my life. I fell in love with a woman from Oporto. She had 2 daughters. The eldest, her name is Kawi, and she's got autism. I entered in the world of autism. It was very interesting to meet Kawi. She was 8. She was always turning things around. She wouldn't look you in the eyes. She would speak alone. She even ate her soup with her hair inside. And I thought she was fascinating. Now me and my wife actually, we had a purpose to help Kawi. Everywhere we went, the message was, you can't do anything, she won't make it through school, get ready to take care of her in the future. And we thought, okay, that's your opinion, thank you very much, let's see what we can do. So we started working with Kawi 32 hours per week, one-on-one. We did this for 2 years. We got a bunch of volunteers, taught them how to deal with Kawi, how to help her with her challenges, and the fact is, she evolved. And she would advance. Advances were really small, but there were significant advances. And we thought, the rest of the world has to know. So we had a new purpose, right? It's like, let's share this with the rest of the world. So me and my wife started driving around Portugal, explaining to everybody how they can understand their children with autism. And by comprehending why they act, react, behave the way they do, we can be of much more service to them. Okay, so it started like this. Fast forward to today, we've already taught, actually in the presentation you spoke about 10,000 people, we already taught more than 60,000 people to comprehend their children with autism and, and the techniques and in a very simple way, how they can really be of help and not only help their children, but help themselves to have a higher quality of life. So we founded Vencer Autismo, this association, to help many more people. So we're on this big purpose mission, and I become a social entrepreneur, and I'm always with this crazy guy and and all these crazy people, and we're doing these beautiful things, and you feel the warm glow by doing so. And that's a point where you get also a lot of students coming up and saying, hey, how do I reach my purpose? I want to do good things like you, How can I do that? How do I reach the purpose? And I'm like, what makes you think that I know? I mean, just because I'm on a stage or because we've helped thousands of people doesn't mean that I can know more about purpose than you, right? Because society is kind of crazy with this purpose thing. It's like you have to know your purpose. If you don't know your purpose, you're lost, right? Everybody's in the rat race. Come on, find your purpose. Okay? Society is prioritizing production, consumption, appearance. All that seems to be more important than just being human, right? So when it comes to this, you have no purpose, you're a disaster, I really don't think that. I think it's important that we don't try to take shortcuts. Everybody tries to take a shortcut to success or to purpose. For example, if I told you guys that any one of you could, in one day, do everything that Nelson Mandela did throughout his life, and you did it in one day, and suddenly you changed the world, or you changed your country, would you feel that something purposeful, right? See, the goal is not getting there faster. Just like when you dance, the objective of dancing is not to get to the other side of the dance floor as fast as possible. The objective of dancing is dancing. Go with the flow, Get close if you can, right? What's the objective of a song? It's not reaching the final tune. It's singing the song and enjoying the flow, right? What's the purpose of a wave if it's not to just wash upon the shore? What's the purpose of a pebble? There are no shortcuts when you do the St. James Way. You guys know the Camino de Santiago? The pilgrimage to Santiago. I did that some years ago, and I did it alone and with no money because I wanted to learn to trust. And my mom calls me and says, Joe, take a credit card. Nobody's gonna notice that you take a credit card, right? Mom, my objective is to take no money, right? I want to learn how to trust. I needed to learn this because I felt that I was blocking funds flowing into our organization so that we could help more people understand their children. And the first day, I learned to trust. The first night, I slept under a slide in a park. And it wasn't so bad. I slept wonderfully. I woke up and I thought, okay, this is the worst that can happen. Let's keep going. The rest of the nights, I was always invited to sleep in different places. It was beautiful. They would invite me to sleep. I would sleep in nice warm beds, in sofas. Once I slept in a bar. And I always had enough food and drinks. And I even gave out more food than what I needed. So it was an incredible experience. And the beautiful thing about going alone, and I recommend everybody to do this, is when you walk alone, you're actually walking with everybody. Because if you go with somebody, you always have this, let's have a coffee, let's go left, let's go right, I want to stop, I want to go faster. But when you're by yourself, it's your warm glow that tells you where to go, when to go faster, when to stop, when to speak with someone, when to try some other way. It's an incredible experience to get to know your intuition. Somebody else has been speaking about intuition before. Our intuition is extremely powerful, but we have to allow ourselves to listen to it. If we don't have the silence to listen to it, it's very difficult to find it. So when you're on your way, you meet some crossroads, right? And on the crossroads, you have to decide. If you go one way, the other way, or you just stop. The moments of silence, just like I compare to the moments of the downs in my life. I explained a little bit of my roller coaster life. So there's these moments where you just, what do I do now? This makes no sense anymore. Are actually very important moments. Society usually judges these moments as, you can't be anxious, there's something wrong, you have a problem. And these moments are very important for us to reconnect with our warm glow, to find, what do I really want? This thing I was doing didn't serve me until now. Maybe I want to try something different. Of course, if you don't walk, you won't reach Santiago, right? It's not about just stopping and waiting for the purpose to arrive. You have to continue walking. The most inspiring story I know about purpose is that of an angel. Kawi is my stepdaughter, and she is the person with the biggest glow I ever met. She's always got this warm glow happening. She never asked me, or her mom, Joe, please work with me so I can overcome my autistic challenges. She never asked us to work with her 32 hours a week. She never asked us to found Vencer Autismo. She never asked us to continue creating new solutions that will help with less resources from our side to help many more thousands of people. However, it is thanks to Kawi that everything changed. She changed everything without touching anything, without demanding anything. Is that not what angels do? So if you ask Kawi, what is the purpose of life, Kawi? She'll tell you, it's to be alive. It's to live. I would take an angel's word for it. Thank you.